Hi fellas, this is one of the dreaded Gatsos. It's a speed monitoring device that works on K-band, 24 gigahertz radar, or microwave, it's properly called. You either like them or you hate them. I think most motorists hate them. Certainly local residents tend to like them because it does drop mean speeds down, at least for some distance. The police and the authorities in the UK have, as we say, worked the oracle, worked the head the last 2 years or more, because in the days when they were painted all grey, we used to be quite well camouflaged with the lamp standards. Since they've been painted yellow, and everyone knows about them, obviously they get a lot less speeding tickets. So they've had arguments with the camera partnerships, these independent people that are on £600 a week to empty the film and maintain them. So with the result that over 2 years now, all the local Gatso cameras, certainly like 90% of the local Gatso cameras, like this one, have been deactivated. We don't know if they've got I presume they've got the transmitter unit still inside, and we've just switched the power off. And obviously they can put them back into service, but there isn't enough tickets being issued to warrant the guy's £500–600 a week salary. I'm probably one of the few people in this area, or in the county, to actually not be frightened of these things still, because as I say, I know for a fact that, like, for instance, this particular Gatso is completely inactive. It's switched off. How do I know this? Because I've got one of these, a Cobra radar detector. A little bit out of focus there, and I'll just plug it back in a second. Let the camera plugged in, and as we see, these operate on K-band, 24 point whatever gigahertz, and if we just have a little fiddle about. System ready. There we go. And showing the battery voltage and what have you. And as some of you guys will know, these operate on K-band, and we've just seen this is sensitive on K-band. It's just come up on the display, and as we see, we have no K-band alert. Now these aren't very powerful. They only throw out like a couple of tenths of a milliwatt, but at this range, in the ideal target area, this thing will be singing its head off by now. So we know without any doubt that this is deactivated, this is switched off. So everybody that's, it's a good deterrent though. It does slow people down. You rarely see anyone going past these doing a typical 35 miles an hour when the limit's 30, and anything over 31, 32, they used to issue tickets, big fat £130 tickets, and an endorsement which lasts 4 years, or demerit which lasts 4 years. It is possible to jam these. I used to make jammers to jam these. It's not that hard actually, and in the UK anyway, it's not very controversial because it's all been deregulated. However, in the USA, messing about with anything on the radio or radar bands can be counted as a state and offence against the state sort of thing. It's controlled by the FCC, I think, federal, it's a federal offence. So all these guys you see on YouTube, these salesmen, we won't mention, trying to demonstrate their V1s or Unidens or what have you, with old, often, there we go, we have a laser alert off that Toyota. That's off the emergency braking system. That's where false alerts come from, by the way, on detectors. You only get alerts from auto brake systems on Mercs and Toyotas, most cars now, Volvos, very powerful, and from genuine LiDAR guns. That's quite handy. That happened to happen. It just demonstrates. You see, there's no police about. It was just a Toyota that was coming towards us. It's about 100 hertz, 100 pulses a second. That's the rate of these safety systems. It's quite possible it might pick another one up, especially if it's a Volvo. So you see, when these salesmen are charging like $500, $600, $700 for these things, what you've got to remember is, like in the UK, in this position, obviously it's useful to find out if this Gatso is active. But if you're coming from the other direction, it doesn't actually go off until you're parallel to it, so it does not protect you. Furthermore, in America they use KA pop instant on radar. What's instant on radar? Well, it's pulse radar, which I've seen the signal of. I've got access to this information, and the thing is, it doesn't give any spurious emissions, like when the officer's not pointing his gun at the American or Canadian motorist. See, so these things largely aren't a great deal that they used to. The only time they could be of use is if you're going down a highway, probably 500 yards in front of you, the officer happens to point his LiDAR gun, his KA radar gun at a car, press the trigger, and then you could possibly pick up a very narrow beam, and you could get an alert. But the thing is, the policemen are trained to detect speeding visually. So we don't press the trigger unless they strongly suspect the motorist is already speeding. So I don't know. I mean, I can think of, I've used radar laser detectors for years. I mean, it's over a decade actually, and certainly years ago it was the top of the line ones. We were talking 20 years ago. I bought one from a car magazine straight from the US, and we're talking £200 then. It was £200 or £199 then, so that was top of the, as you can imagine, it was the top of the line one. So I can build jammers for these, I can make jammers for these, but the problem being is the parts are so prohibitively expensive. I'd have to charge you kind of $300, $350 for an effective Gatso jammer, and as we see, a lot of them here, for instance, are inactive, and in America it's very frowned upon. Even these guys in California that you see switching on these ancient, very overpowered radar sets are seriously breaking FCC federal laws in America, and could face up to 5 years in jail and massive fines. So I pointed this out to one or two guys, but they must be good friends with the police, otherwise I think they would have been prosecuted. The one exception with Gatsos, certainly in the UK at least, are the smart motorways. People don't know what these smart motorways are. I mean, it's hard with the amount of disruption. I mean, I personally have been stuck on the M6 for kind of an hour and a half while they were building these big gantries, big steel gantries over the motorway, and they have them regularly. They must cost an absolute fortune, and about on every third gantry we do have a modern variant of the Gatso with a very powerful infrared flash. These are on a slightly different frequency, I should warn you, so don't always search for K-band for those, but likewise you only get a faint radar trace when you're coming towards these gantries, because it's very directional. If you look there, I can't zoom in here I don't think. If you look up here, if you look up here on the Gatso, this is where people start beeping me, trying to say I'm doing something illegal, which I'm not. On the rectangle there, that is mica. That is thin mica. It's like a very stiff cardboard. What this does is keep the rain out, keeps the damp out, and lets the microwave signal come out, obviously in a beam, like a 20-degree beam, to go down the road and catch you. Obviously, right hand bottom side, you've got a visible. Usually on these, it's a visible flash, and obviously top left, the square, is the camera. I actually have seen, just in my local area, which is, it's a long way from London where I live, not as busy as in London. I've actually seen, over the years, I've seen at least 4 of these burnt out or otherwise disabled. Favourite trick, if you're just in a hurry, is to spray something or use a paintball gun on the top lens. Obviously, then it goes off. It goes off, detects you, but they don't get a picture. That's their favourite, not really damaging way. It has to be said, you'll see from pictures, the favourite way was a tyre put on this cross member here, or even on the top of the unit, and a little bit of gasoline, petrol, to help it on its way. I've seen at least 2 in this area that have been completely burnt out. Also, for you that are allowed firearms and what have you, the sensitive calibrated radar unit is directly behind that rectangle, which is pretty vulnerable, really. I mean, it may look very strong here, but it's not. It's actually just stiff painted cardboard, in effect, mica. And likewise, nighttime tickets can be prevented by spraying something over the lens. The lost